So this here is a Yamaha TY250 trials bike that showed up in the trash. As you may know, I work at a junkyard. Well, it's a recycling outfit for construction debris. I saw this and I thought to myself, you don't have enough projects, so why not bring another one home? So here we go, just seeing if I can get it to spark, see if I can get it to run, see if I can get it to roll, maybe ride it. So here's our generic teardown stuff. You gotta inspect as you go and see what you find. Turns out, okay, the reeds are in decent shape. They're stainless. Spark? Nah, we got no spark. No surprises there because it's old and decrepit looking, but gotta check. So let's take a look. It turns out whoever owned this thing before really had some love on it because they replaced all the crappy screws with Allen heads, which was nice. But whoever else stored it, I don't know, maybe they stored it at the bottom of a lake or something because, that's pretty nasty. And you can see here the points are seized, everything's crusty and corroded and all that good stuff. And it's like, yeah, alright, well, this is going to be a little bit of a doer, but it's not too bad. Like, it can all be fixed. Primary windings, the insulation's all worn off of them, so those have to get resoldered. Just put new wires in there. And then was looking around like, all right, what else we got? We're going to need a new condenser, obviously. That one's toast. And, good luck finding a condenser for a 1977 TY250 at, any bike shop. But before we can worry about that, we got to get this last little screw out. So I ended up using a number 2 Roberts, also known as a square drive. Tap it in with a little hammer. And then we're just going to put our impact driver on that. Hopefully it goes, and success. Huzzah! Moving on. One of the cool things about a points and condenser system is that every part of it is serviceable and repairable. So the points are seized, you take them apart, you give them a good scrub, a sanding, all that stuff, and then they'll work again. The downside is you're going to have to do that work fairly often as they mechanically wear out of spec and all that. But that's neither here nor there. See, little crust, little nasty, and a little bit of sandpaper, a little bit of scrubbing, and then they're back to making good contact. So that's really pretty cool, and it's a handy thing to know how to do. Remember that whole you can't find a condenser for this system? I went to the local auto parts store, got a condenser for a 1960 something Ford, and with just a little bit of trim and some solder work, we can make this bracket that came on it that didn't fit, well, we'll make it fit. So that's one thing that's about being a mechanic. If you've got the time and you're working on it for yourself, you can be creative and use things that may not be application specific and all that. In this case, what I'm doing here is getting everything pre-tinned so that way I put the bracket on, I put the condenser up to it, and all I have to do is just barely squeeze them together with a set of pliers, apply heat, and they stick. It's really a pretty slick solution here. You can see my little crack torch heated up, and boom, that's it, done. And believe it or not, that works. That's all it takes. So had to mess around with some of the other connections and everything. And then once I was done, I had to do a really thorough checkout with a multimeter to make sure that the points were getting good contact and everything was functional as it should be. But once we got all that, no big deal. As you can see, we're just going to reassemble it all here. It goes back on the bike. And then you have to actually, on this model, put the flywheel back on so you can set the point gap, which is what I'm about to do here. And setting point gap is pretty simple. You just put your flywheel back on, and it might take a flashlight, a flathead, and a feeler gauge. So you go to where the points are supposed to be open, and then you loosen up your set screw, and there's a little adjustment notch in there. So you turn your flathead one way or the other, and that will open or close the points more. You slide your feeler gauge in to double check yourself, and then once it's sliding in with just a touch of resistance at the specified dimension, that's it, you're done. So once everything's back together, we go ahead and check the circuits with a test light. It lights up on both sides, which means it should be generating power for the head and tail lights and the ignition coil. And it didn't get any spark still, so I'm just checking to make sure I don't have a weird ground out situation. The original coil, no good. But we got a new coil, and look at that. We got some sparky boys. I think she'll run. Oh, yeah, carb's pretty nasty. Flash forward, gave it a soak, gave it a scrub, And I didn't really do a rebuild. This is just a, can I get it to where it'll run? I'm not putting super amounts of time and effort into something until I hear it go poppity pop pop. So here we are, quick reassembly, greasing all the gaskets, getting everything snugged up. Then we're gonna put some go-go juice in her and see what happens. Speaking of go-go juice, here it is. It's going too far. Oopsie. Yeah, no surprise there. Like I said, I didn't do a full carb rebuild. I wasn't surprised by this. So it's got a full bowl full of fuel, and that means it's time to give it a kick and see what it will do. So yeah, stunning success. It actually runs pretty tight, pretty nice. Stick around and I will see if I can get it to run, roll, maybe even ride. Later.